That's why it's called the armory, and guns were stored underneath the gym floor. The armory is now used for storing old play materials.
The armory is now mainly used for the school productions, the Spook Alley, and the dances.
Stairs lead up to the second floor.
The main balcony leads to more storage rooms, as you can see. Here in the armory, you should never ever explore the doors or whatever without an uncle's permission.
Yeah, yes.
As if you've never heard it. Okay, so this was 5 years ago when I was in the armory. We were doing Little Mermaid, and a couple of students wanted to get me an Ariel doll because we were doing Little Mermaid. Well, it was late after the show was done, and the Ariel doll was sitting on my desk, and I heard a noise that I thought said, "Do you want to play a game?" And I didn't think anything of it, because I thought I just heard something. But then I realized that I got the doll, and so I went to look at the doll, and there was a button. So I thought, well, it just went off. So I pressed the button and nothing happened. And so I decided to check the batteries, and then found out that there were no batteries. And so it freaked me out a little bit, but then I thought maybe I just put two and two together. So I decided to look up on the internet and see what the doll was supposed to say. And sure enough, it said, "Do you want to play a game?" So a little freaked out at that point. I decided that I just was freaking myself out and I would go. So I left, came back the next day, and that year I had first period prep. And so I walked into my classroom and all the posters had fallen off the wall. Every single one. And I had a good 10 to 15 posters on the wall. So at this point I'm a little bit more freaked out, and I decide to take my entire prep period to tape them back to the wall. And so right as I get them on the wall, the bell rings for my second period class. The second period class comes in, everything's fine. Well, a couple periods later I had girls choir, and I was telling them the story of the posters. And right as I'd finished telling the poster story, the Ariel doll, I remember, was sitting on a shelf because I had moved it away from my desk because it was freaking me out sitting on my desk. So I put it on a shelf. And right as I was done telling the story, the posters falling off of the wall, the Ariel doll fell off of the shelf, and somehow its arm was pointing, and I kid you not, the poster it was pointing at fell off of the wall. And so I screamed like a girl, and I grabbed Ariel and I threw her into the gym in the armory. And of course everyone was laughing. And then I felt bad, because at this point I still was trying to the girls that got me the present, I didn't want to throw it away. So I went and got it and reluctantly put it back on my desk. Well, at that point, Central Singers was last period of the day. So I was rehearsing Central Singers, and all of a sudden my alto section was just laughing. And I stopped and I said, "Altos, what's so funny?" And they said, "I swear I heard something say, 'Do you want to play a game?'" And at this point, I was done. And I told them the story. As I told them the story, I was grabbing the Ariel doll, and I just I went out in the gym and I purposely hid her somewhere that no one would find. And I came back in the room and everyone was laughing at me, blah, blah, blah. Well, I go to the bathroom and I come back and the Ariel doll is sitting on my desk. So I freak out. And at that point, I forgot one part of the story. So cut to earlier than that. And the next, so I had two girls, this is after the girls' choir when it fell off the wall. The next girls' choir, girls were putting their stuff away, and there was a clock above where you put your folders away. And the clock jumped off of the wall and hit a girl on the head. Now, you could argue that gravity just let it fall, but the thing was a good 3 feet away from the wall. So if it fell off the wall, it would have just fallen on the top of the shelf. But no, it jumped and landed on top of the girl's head. Thankfully, she was fine. But at that point, I was getting more creeped out, and then I told then the thing in Central Singers happened when the altos were laughing, and so then I literally went and I jumped in the dumpster and I threw Ariel at the bottom of the dumpster, was throwing trash over. I didn't care who saw me jumping in the dumpster. And then I just never told the girls that gave me the Ariel doll. But thankfully, Ariel doll was never to be seen again. And that's my story.